Hello and welcome back to Stories with me, Jesse. And today we're once again taking a look at the insane and unreasonable customers that store employees deal with every day over at Reddit/talesfromretail. Let me know what you think of these stories in the comments, as well as any suggestions you might have that we may just use in a future installment. Don't push or shove, and maintain a 6-foot distance between you and the other shoppers, because we're getting started now. Our first story is titled, Never Assume What Languages a Person Can or Cannot Speak. So this is an old story for me. Happened back in 2008, when I was a young, intrepid stock person at a big box all-purpose store, including a grocery section. I had a working knowledge of where pretty much everything was in the store because I was all over the place. But the grocery department had its own stock team specifically, so I wasn't as knowledgeable there. Now, two things to note here. I am of Lebanese descent, and I was working in South Florida at the time. For those that don't know, South Florida has a significant Cuban population, but not so much Middle Eastern folks. I got confused for Cuban all the time because I had the darker skin tone, similar to a lot of Cuban folks. I also speak fluent English, Arabic, and French, but I was born and raised in the Midwest, so my accent gives no indication that I might be of Middle Eastern heritage. On this fine afternoon, I was wheeling back an empty tub back to the stockroom after having emptied out one department over. Walking through the main aisle next to grocery, I hear an "Excuse me!" Not rude, but definitely not polite either. I turned to find the Arab equivalent of a Karen. Let's call her Khadija. Khadija is a 30-something looking woman wearing yoga pants and a skin-tight shirt, and a really fancy hijab and jewelry, because that makes sense, standing with her husband. I grew up in a predominantly Lebanese community in southeastern Michigan, so I definitely know the type. The conversation goes as follows. "How can I help you, miss?"
"I'm looking for a specific item, but I can't find it."
"Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not as familiar with the grocery section, so I'm not sure where that is. Let me grab one of my colleagues for you. One moment." I could see one of the other customer service guys in the grocery section, so I radioed him to come over and help her out. "He'll be with you shortly, miss."
"Thank you, but I'm in a bit of a hurry. I thought you worked here and knew your store."
"I'm sorry, miss. I don't really work in this section. Colleague is coming right down the aisle now." To her husband in Arabic.
"They always get these stupid kids to work in these places, but they don't know how to do their job. This fatso doesn't know his head from his ass."
The husband gave Khadija a look. Probably because he saw my expression turn from my customer service smile to a frown. I had an internal debate about what to do next when her husband spoke. In Arabic, "Stop talking. I think he understood what you said."
"Of course he didn't. He's an idiot. He doesn't know their hands from his feet."
It's an Arabic idiom. Doesn't translate the best. Me in Arabic. "Actually, I understood every word you said. I don't appreciate being called fat and stupid. An older lady like you should know better than to insult people trying to help you. Worse, you wear your hijab like a hypocrite, pretending to be devout, yet you abuse your perceived social lessers? You should have some respect for yourself." Khadija looked like she had been hit by a damn truck. Her olive skin turned ghost white, and she sputtered at me.
You speak Arabic?"
Me in Arabic? Obviously I do. Maybe next time you'll think before you insult people who help you when you think they can't understand. Khadija grabbed her husband's arms and dragged him out of the store, completely mortified. I could hear her husband yelling at her in Arabic, and he warned her not to be a bitch all the time, especially when she doesn't know who understands her. I wasn't personally that offended, but I won't deny it was satisfying to scare some sense into her. You know, while I respect foreign people who used to come to my store and ask me for help, when they weren't happy with me, I've heard them quite a few times turn to each other and bicker, occasionally glancing or pointing at me. I really should perhaps learn a new language, since if they were secretly talking smack about me, I would love to know all the juicy things they're saying, only to calmly respond in their primary tongue. What a neat trick that would be. Our next story is called, We Have Never Served Ice Cream. I believe this happened last year. I was the assistant deli manager at a locally owned grocery chain. An older man, and who I assumed to be his wife, walk up to my counter and start talking to one of my associates. After a bit of a conversation, I can see the man is looking irritated that my associate calls me over. "How can I help you?" "We are here to get the free ice cream cone you guys are advertising." "I'm sorry, you must have seen it advertised for somewhere else. We don't serve ice cream." At this point, the guy starts getting pretty angry. "It said earlier that I could get a free Ben & Jerry's ice cream cone." "We don't serve Ben & Jerry's ice cream here. The only ice cream we have from them is in the frozen section." "I want to talk to a manager." "I am the manager, sir." "You don't know what you're talking about." He then proceeds to find one of the supervisors in the store and asks him about it. The supervisor comes back and asks me about it with the man following. It was a small store. You didn't have to go far. He didn't know about what our deli did, let alone what the others did. I asked the man where he saw the advertisement, and he told me, in the game on his phone. I told him our company does not advertise that way, and he proceeded to tell me again I didn't know what I was talking about. He left shortly thereafter, heading to another of our locations, even after telling him that none of our stores serves ice cream or ice cream cones. After all of this, I looked up what he might have been talking about. Ben & Jerry's has a free cone day once a year where you can get a free ice cream cone. There are no Ben & Jerry's locations within 300 miles. I didn't know this as there are none nearby. Some people are just so ignorant, and this gentleman obviously contributes to this statistic. At least be intelligent enough to know if a business sells ice cream cones at all before having a toddler-like hissy fit. God, I hate in-app advertisements, especially when they work on stupid. Moving on, our next story is titled, "Just When I Thought I Was Home Free." I work graveyards at a gas station, and I get all kinds of weird and rude customers. My first customer of the night pulls up in a giant RV that is larger than a city bus and clearly doesn't know how to drive a vehicle of that size. He parks at the Santa dump and starts emptying his waste, and I think, that's kinda odd. It's a little late for that. I asked my coworker, and she said he had called and she gave him the okay to use it. My coworker leaves and I am by myself. The man comes up to the window and he looked like Howie Mandel on drugs. "Do you guys sell Chinese noodles and beans?" "We have noodle cups and cans of beans if that's what you're looking for." "Yeah, I'll get that. Do you accept tips from debit cards?" "No, I have no way of doing that and I'm not supposed to accept tips." I get the guy's stuff and ring him in, and he pays, then says, "Now I gotta get a few hours of sleep and I'll be good to go." After he drives away, I go outside for a cigarette and notice he is trying to park at the back of the store, blocking an entrance in a fire lane. He gets out to check his parking job and wave to get his attention. "Sir, you can't park there overnight." "Come on, man, I just need a few hours sleep." "You're blocking an entrance in a fire lane. No, you have to leave." "So you guys need me to leave then?" "Please, have a good night." The man struggles to get the RV out of the lot, but eventually does. An hour later, I notice a van parked beside our air pump and a lady sleeping in the driver's seat. She falls forward and face plants into the horn, waking herself up. She sees me and gets out.
Hey, I have a flat tire and I can't get my spare out. I'm just gonna walk home and get some stuff and I will be back.
"Did you want me to call you a tow truck?"
No, I will only be a few minutes. I will be back.
"Okay, but you can't leave your van there all night. If you can't move it, I will have to have it towed."
Don't worry, I will move it as soon as I can change the tire.
She was still here in the same spot for at least an hour after my shift. Lastly, I was 30 minutes before the end of my shift and thought I was home free, when a junkie who had several bags of empties and left them outside the door before coming in. "Good morning. What can I get you?"
"Zigzag whites."
"Can I see your ID?" He looks 17.
"I don't have ID. I'm 30 fucking years old."
"Sorry, I can't sell you the papers then. Anything else?"
"This is fucking bullshit."
My manager hears the commotion and comes inside. "Sir, he asked you for ID. You have to show him. It is the law."
"I'm 30 years old. I shouldn't need to bring my ID with me."
"Sorry, we can't sell you the papers." The junkie then walks over to the dairy cooler and grabs a 2-liter of milk and starts walking up to the counter and says,
"Well, if you won't sell me zigzags, I'm taking this,"
and heads out the door. My manager chased him, picking up one of his bags and throwing it at him, hitting him in the head with the bottles. He isn't allowed back anymore. TLDR, 3 drug addicts made for a really stupid shift. That sounds like a fun time, and when you have one sketchy person come in, several more are usually bound to follow. I've had the displeasure of working graveyard shifts before, but I was fortunate enough to serve that time in stores that close, without any weirdos coming in at night to make my life more difficult. Our final story is titled, "Customer Wants a Discount Because..." Reasons? I work in the tech/electronics department of one of the few stores that is still pretty open to the public. This continues to bring in some pretty special people that don't normally shop here, as they can't at their preferred store, reduced hours, online only, closed indefinitely, etc. For additional context, because of everything that's going on, we're running short-staffed almost daily, and people are in general a lot edgier, less patient, and ruder to staff. As you might expect, this caused me to lose a bit of my usual filter. Anyway, on one of my recent morning shifts, my first customer of the day, henceforth known as C, was picking out some vinyl records and finally decided on a couple. He set them both on the counter and I began to ring them through. Okay, so your total is $74.98. C looks at them for a few seconds. Would you be able to give me a discount? Why? These are brand new, sealed vinyls. If they were damaged, I could look into it, but as is, no. C pauses again. Not even 5%. Me, growing irritated, there's absolutely no reason for it. Do you do this every time you go to a grocery store? No. Acting like I'd accused him of stealing. Then why would you think you should get one here? It doesn't hurt to ask. ... Well, I can check to see if they've gone down in price since they were first put on the shelf, knowing full well that they had not. I then scanned the two vinyls only to find that, shock and awe, they were the price that they were tagged at. Then after all that, he just said thanks and left. People have done the whole discount thing as a joke before, but this was just strange. TLDR, customer wants to purchase two brand new sealed vinyl records, but then doesn't after finding out that he has to pay full price instead of being able to talk his way out of saving $3.75. Gee whiz. Coming from an electronics department myself, I've played this game before, and people truly believe you're holding out on them, and they'll keep other people behind them waiting just to see if you're gonna break and sweeten the deal, which really sucks if there's no secret coupon you can use to get them to leave. I wanted to take a second to say how thankful I am to hit 65 subscribers, and I'm so thankful that you chose to join me. I hope that each of you will vocalize your thoughts in the comments and chat with me on how you're liking the content so that we can build this channel together. Welcome. Thanks again for tuning in with me, Jesse. What did you think about these stories? Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and check out what other stories I have for you.